The left keeps acting like the election was lost because the messaging wasn't aggressive enough, when in reality, voters may have rejected the ideology itself. That's the political crisis nobody in Washington wants to admit. After years of open border policies, identity politics, DEI campaigns, and nonstop attacks against Trump, many Americans stopped seeing the establishment as the solution and started seeing it as the source of the chaos. Instead of self-reflection, the response became even more radicalization, more outrage, more media panic, more attempts to frame Trump as an existential threat. But the harder they pushed, the more disconnected they appeared from ordinary people struggling with inflation, crime, foreign instability, and a political class that seemed obsessed with narratives over reality. That's where Victor Davis Hanson believes the political landscape fundamentally changed.
They know that open borders and attacking ICE and DEI and all of that is losing them popularity and might have probably lost the election, but they can't stop that. And so when they did this report, they hired this outside law firm. They found out what was wrong. And basically, they looked at it and they said, well, wait a minute. You're trying to tell me that nominating the first black woman as president was wrong? Are you serious? And we have DEI people all through the campaign, and it reflected America. We had the right themes, and we raised $1 billion more. You mentioned all the lawfare, and you're saying that was wrong? No, that cannot be wrong. It cannot be wrong. And so that's what the problem is. And I think that lesson hadn't been learned. They thought they could get, they thought they were really going to be cute in 2020. They were going to get the Obama people, and they were going to get, they said, you know, Pete Buttigieg can't win. Kamala Harris can't win. She didn't get a single delegate. Bernie can't win. Elizabeth Warren. We'll get old Joe Biden as a wax and effigy, and we'll bring in the Obama people, and it'll be their third term. And that's what they did. And they were even more emboldened because they were never responsible. At least under Obama, they had to take the hit when they dreamed up these socialist utopias. But with Biden, they said, we can just open the border. We can just get out of Afghanistan like this. We can try to get in the Iran. We can do all of this. And then Joe Biden will explain it that he's just a moderate Democrat. So they haven't learned that lesson yet. And I don't see anybody in that party that can do it. I mean, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, they're all hardcore leftists.
According to Hanson, Trump exposed something bigger than a partisan divide. He exposed how deeply entrenched the political and media establishment had become. And now as tensions with Iran, oil markets, and global instability grow, Hanson argues Trump is facing a far bigger challenge, turning military success into long-term strategic victory before political pressure in Washington closes the window entirely. His warning is clear. Tactical victories mean nothing if America cannot secure economic stability, energy, control, and political momentum afterward. And while the establishment keeps replaying the same anti-Trump script, Hanson believes the country is already moving into a completely different political era.
Donald Trump is never going to, for long, pull 51% just because of his nature as a disruptor and the tweeting and all of that. But that said, I think what he thought was he was going to go into Iran, which people supported, and it would be like it was 32 days or 42 days, excuse me. But he got trapped in a series of negotiations. And the Strait of Hormuz, they had contingency plans, but I think they underestimated the impact that it would make in world oil prices. And so then they came up with this very logical and true idea. They said, well, Russia is being unsanctioned. They've got another 500 or 1 million barrels. We're up to 14 million. We've got another 1 million barrels. We got Venezuela. They've already got 300,000 more barrels. The UAE left OPEC. they're going to go ramp up outside the strait to the Gulf of another 1.5 million. So there's all this oil. There's 200 tankers out in the ocean. They're filled with 1 million barrels each. So they've got 3, 4, 5 days of oil right there. So as soon as the thing ends, the price is going to collapse. And that's a good argument. And we will have time for the midterms. But the problem is, what they said was 7.5 months became 6 months, became 5 months, and now it's less than 5 months. And so it's getting that way. So they've got to wrap it up, I think, in the next 10 days. They have a variety of choices. They can just go unload on them, hit their dual-use targets, hit Pike Mountain, let the Israelis take out the command and control, seal the uranium, and just bomb it with Moabs again and again, take out a corridor across from the Karg Island and the Straits, and then either leave a carrier group there and say we're done and make it impossible for them to retaliate. That might take a week at least, and then go home. Or they could just go home when they think they have they can't go home without. The American people will not accept the fact that we don't control the uranium. They have to do that. Either seal it or destroy it or go take it, because they're never going to negotiate that away. So I can see what Trump was worried about. Everything was so touchy, and he's basically saying to us, there hasn't been a war for almost 5 weeks, 6 weeks. It's longer than the actual war. So the real war was only 42. It was wonderful. We did all this. And now we're just negotiating. But at some point, he's got to see that you can't trust these people. They're dragging it out to get closer to the midterms and close that window of opportunity. Because I think they know, and the left here knows, and the European left knows, that the fundamentals of the economy, the jobs report, the stock market, the GDP growth, they're all pretty solid, and the foreign investment is at record levels. And all these new technologies are starting to streamline the economy. And we've cut a lot of federal employees, and there's a lot less illegal immigration. The crime rate is way down, historically down. So everything is there except this oil, at $100 a barrel. If he can get it down to 60, and that means he has to stop. He has to emasculate Iran, and he's got to make sure the strait is open and the uranium is accounted for. And that's what he's trying to negotiate with. And I think, from what I've talked to people, I think there's a growing realization that you cannot talk to these people and get the uranium back. And I was saying to my wife the other day, Friday afternoon will be a 4-day news blackout because of Memorial Day. If I were him, and I thought that I had come to that conclusion, I would just do it Friday afternoon when it's dark in Iran and do it for 4 days and go full blast and get it out of the news and get it over, and then just take one carrier group, and it's going to be auditing and get everybody home and open the strait, militarily open it. Blast anything on the sea, anything in the air, destroy their docks, their ports, and then bring the U.S. military through to patrol it, and then tell everybody it's safe and come in. And I think it will be dramatic if he can do that. The fall, I think he's right about that part, the fall of oil prices. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of speculators who thought that it was going to go to 200 or 150, and they bought at futures. And if we're awash in oil, like I think we will be, that will crash, and they'll want to unload it as quickly as possible on these tankers and other storage facilities. So we'll see, but that's where he is right now. Strategically, it's got to be resolved. Militarily, tactically, it was resolved. We destroyed their military. We suffered very little casualties. It was a brilliant military campaign, but we haven't transferred or translated that military victory, overwhelming though it was, into strategic advantage and resolution yet. We're on the way there, but we have pressures. He decided to go before the midterms. That was very courageous, but that thing is ticking. And if he loses the House and the Senate, he's not going to be able to appoint a judge. He's not going to be able to get any legislation. It's going to be all by what Barack Obama called phone and pen. I got a phone, I got a pen. and executive orders, and it's going to be tricky.
Now, if you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this.